And hello, welcome to Mary Walter Radio. How are you? I'm Mary Walter. It is January 23rd. Oh, there's that music again. And it is primary night in New Hampshire. So, welcome to everyone who's new to the podcast. It's great to have you. I apologize. I have done nothing but sneeze all day today. Oh my God. I don't know whether I'm getting a cold. I don't know what's going on, but and I'm freezing. So this is as good as it was getting. I'm sorry. It's not one of those days you're just like, and you're just not feeling it. Today was one of those days when I'm just not feeling it. So I apologize for not like kind of zhuzhing it up a little bit more. But at least I don't have a baseball cap on because it was almost a baseball cap night or like a wool hat night. It was almost that. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. First of all, if you are new, please like the podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate that. You can follow me on X at Mary Walter Radio. And the podcast is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, also at Mary Walter Radio. Okay. Any guests? We will have a guest next week, hopefully. We'll see. Didn't work out last week. Hopefully, we will have this guest next week. And I promise you it'll be very, very interesting. It should be a lot of fun. At least I think it will be a lot of fun. Also, let's see, where are we? Oh, I know we have somebody we have to innovative compliance and coaching, new subscriber. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Oh, and Grace is here. James is not here, as you can see. I don't know what it is. I feel so bad for him. He is, newly married, got married in October. And between he and his wife, she's sick. He's sick. She's sick. He's sick. The car broke down. This happened. That happened. I feel so badly for them, but because they're just so cute. They're like the cutest little couple. They're really truly meant for each other. And I just feel badly for them. They're almost like you would what you would expect the way two 80-year-olds would be in a marriage, you know? And he takes really great care of her and she takes really good care of him. But I just feel bad because it's just one thing after the next after the next. So he's not here. I don't know if he's ever going to be back. I truly don't know if James will ever be back. I just think with the job and with the health issues and other things that are going on, and it's nothing bad. It's just one after the next. Nobody's dying, nobody has a rare disease. It's nothing along those lines. It's just pain in the butt stuff, and it doesn't seem to end. But hopefully he will. Also, thank you to Evie, who makes all of our graphics, and to his son Zach, who is our biggest fan and who watches every single episode. Some he watches several times over and over and over. So Zach, thank you so much. We appreciate you. All right, I have the Associated Press up. I have Fox up, so we will get the results of the primary as they come in. So the polls are closed. They're tallying the votes, and as they come in, I will try to bring them to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, we have a little bit of a problem on our southern border, in case you didn't know. And I want to share this with you first. Yeah. So check this out. This here. Check this. Where is it? This one. Yeah. All right. So check this out. This guy, you see this guy here? That guy right there? This guy right here? He comes across the border and he's being interviewed. There was a reporter there. And the reporter, says, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And he's talking to also a border patrol agent, or yeah, border patrol, because he had just been encountered with this group of illegals crossing the border, who were all, by the way, well dressed. They all have, really nice sleeping bags. They have new phones. They're not walking across the border in tattered clothes and flip flops. They're dressed really nice, and they're not dirty. And this guy's encountered, and he was asked, well, who are you? And he said, "You're not smart enough to know who I am." And he said, "In time, you will know me." Well, he looks a lot like this guy right here, who is Movsum Samedov, the head of the Islamic Party of Azerbaijan, who served 12 years in prison and was released in January of 2023. He is a known terrorist who hates the United States. And we just welcomed him into the country, right? Like, he looks like that guy. Sure does look like him, doesn't it? That guy looks just like that guy there. Who looks just like that guy there. So this is what's happening on our southern border, and what I love is that they try to blame the Trump administration for this. It's not their fault. It's the Trump administration's fault. Yeah, it's not their fault. It's Trump. You know, if we would just give them more money so they could process these people faster, this wouldn't be a problem. So this guy was among 7 party members who were sentenced October 7th for serious crimes in Baku. Where the heck is Baku? Azerbaijan, I think. Uh, the head of the party's branch was jailed for 11 and a half years. This guy received, I don't know how much he got, but anyway, they rejected all their charges. They said they were persecuted for political reasons. So yeah, this guy is no good if that's who it is. But we just let him walk right across our border. Why? Why are we doing that? It's insanity. I don't understand, but I'm not smart enough to be a president or anything like that, so I don't know. All right, let's start it off here. Bill, first one in. Bill says, hi, Queen Mary. Hello. Squeaky says, hi, Mary. Would you like me to marry? Kidding, you're on. Barry. Hey, Barry. Why are you bugging? Barry from North Carolina. I got here 4 minutes early, so I feel isolated. My pronouns are he, they, them, shush, and it. Missed you on Saturday, Barry. Now Tax USA says, good evening to all. Do you know where Waldo Joe is? Yes. Oh, Scott says, I have a very nice sweater. Thank you very much. I like this one. It's hard sometimes because of the black backdrop from the fireplace to wear this. Doesn't always work. Vicky, hey, from Utah. Yay! So glad you joined us, Vicky. Fantastic. Barry was so him and his wife, 3 sides to a story, her story, and the correct story. I don't know who we're talking about. Are you talking about this terrorist guy? Scott says, that's right. It's poll night. Yes, it is. Greg says there are 1,000 more like him. Yeah, there are how many more illegals who have walked across our border who are on the terror watch list? They catch a bunch of them, but how many haven't they caught? And that's what drives me crazy about the left, especially when you're on Twitter with these people. And they're like, yes, but they caught them, so they're doing a really good job. Look at the numbers that Biden's catching. I'm like, dummy. Those are the ones they caught. What about the ones they didn't catch? Well, he's catching more than Trump. I'm like, because there's more trying to cross than when Trump was president, because Trump had the border somewhat secure compared to the way it is now. Gregory, there are 1,000 more just like him coming through each week. Exactly. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, here's the other thing. This piece, and I think it's written by Todd Bensman. And he's talking about, you know, the UN. Remember, we keep hearing that these guys, the illegals, when they come across, they get like these cards, you know, debit cards, and they're rechargeable. And they get something like up to $5,000 on these cards. And they're handed them these cards either when they cross over, when they're on their way up, but they get these cards to pay for expenses on their trip to America. So, but we've always been told that that's not true, that that's a lie. So Todd Bensman did some digging. And here's what he found. The UN just released the 2024 Interagency Coordinated Platform for Refugees and Migrants from Venezuela. It's also known as R4V for short. All right, Refugees for Venezuela. It's a planning and budget document that was for handing out $1.6 billion in Latin American countries. So this is the UN handing out this money in Latin American countries, and this is their budget report. All right. It confirms that the UN, along with 240 named NGOs, non-governmental organizations, is giving debit cards to illegal migrants funded in large part by U.S. taxpayers. So we're paying to make the trip here easier for them because, you know, it's hard. So we're paying for this. Yay. Despite the plan title naming Venezuelans as recipients of this aid operation, the document's fine print, and he found two instances of it, page 14 and page 43, says that this goes to, quote, all nationalities and multiple other nationalities. So you and I are not just paying for Venezuelans to come here, we're paying for everybody to come here. Yay! America's great. We're awesome. The UN and its partners want to spread 372 million in cash and voucher assistance and multi-purpose cash assistance to 624,300 immigrants who are in transit to the United States during the fiscal year of 2024. That's their goal, to help them get here on their way to America. We want to make your trip easier on your way to America. I'm just checking real quick to see if there's any update on the polls. And I got nothing. Okay. The money that is most often handed out is prepaid rechargeable debit cards, but it's also paid out as hard cash in envelopes. You know, like a mob boss at a funeral where they hand him cash, or any Jersey wedding where they come up and they just put an envelope of cash in the groom's pocket. Happens. We do. That's okay. Bank transfers and mobile transfers, they can use this for whatever they want as long as they're heading to the U.S. Heading north, here you go. Heading south, no money for you. It's part of a broader UN hemisphere-wide vision that aims to spend $1.59 billion to assist about 3 million people in 17 countries who emigrate from their home nations. This is all about moving everyone in Central and Southern America into the United States and totally upsetting the apple cart. This is what it's about. This is about fundamentally changing the United States. Where have I heard that before? Fundamentally, I want to fundamentally change the United States. Can't remember where I've heard that. Okay. Oh, so far, Trump has 20 delegates. Haley has 8. Oh, this is today's races, New Hampshire primary. Okay. They haven't, so far, Trump has 52.76% of the vote. And in the New Hampshire primary, Nikki Haley has 46.65% of the vote. Okay. So they're getting there. Trump has 12,352. She has 10,921. It's close. It's really close. Ron DeSantis has 139 votes, which is basically 0.6%. Okay. Biden, they say that part of this is all being helped by Biden administration policies that create newly established opportunities for regular pathways. They also have a note in this UN report that went out, and it shows a map, the United States and how all the different pathways to get there, and it shows the border, and it says, but this map does not imply official endorsement or acceptance by the UN. We're just giving it to you. So you're paying for it. Ain't that just dandy? Ain't that just ducky? Fantastic. I just want to check real quick the Democrat primary to see if anybody not voted for Joe Biden. How do I get Democrats? What have the Democrats got? Let's see. Okay, so Fox News is estimating the Biden write-in at 58.7%, so 59%. Dean Phillips with 22.3%, and Marianne Williamson with 4.3% so far. So that can change. So I want to get your comments on this. I mean, we know this is happening. This isn't a surprise to anyone, and yet this administration is sued the state of Texas in order to cut the wire down. And Peter Doocy asked, oh God, what's his name? But anyway, not the border czar. I forget who he asked, but anyway, the guy who answers questions really badly, but really wants to be the press secretary, and was asking him about it. And he said, well, no, we didn't sue to let more illegals in. We sued so that the border patrol can get into the parks. They have to cut the wire down so the border patrol can get into the park. They're so full of it. They're just so full of it. Yeah, Grebel says replacement theory is becoming a reality. Got to tell you, I really seriously thought that was a whole bunch of hooey. Now I question it when I hear that the UN is in on this and approving this. Evict everyone in the UN in that UN building and let the illegal immigrants bust to New York City move in. Hell yes, Greg. Why they should take that thing out of New York? I don't know anyone who lives in New York or works in New York who wants that. Scott, yeah, Obama wanted to fundamentally change the United States. And that's, I think, exactly what he's doing. I think that's exactly what's happening. Election 2024. Still looking. Okay, so nothing official as of right now. AP is hard to read. Their page is really difficult. I don't know why. I'm trying to keep you updated. Today's races. All right. Here's something else that I wanted to share with you. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Let me share this with you. I'm going to play a short video for you. And this is following on the steps of Massachusetts, who started floating this program back in August and then had to refloat it again. And I thought maybe we could have some fun with it. Listen to this. Are you ready? So let me just share this screen. All right. This one. Share this with you. Okay, you can see that. And you should be able to hear this. Hopefully you can hear this.
I do know that there's a lot of people that do care. And I think we live in a compassionate community. So, before we go down the road of, doing what, following suit on some of these other cities are taking action on, my idea would be let's find out. Let's find out who's willing to help, So, we do hear from constituents on both sides of this. What are we going to do to preemptively stop this? And then we hear from people that tell us we should do more. So, we do have a very affluent community, a lot of big homes. And what I'd like to do is direct staff to create a sign-up sheet. So, for individuals that would be willing to house migrant families. And if there's people that would do that, God bless them. So if we could raise awareness in that way, I think we need to find out. I think we need to find out who would be willing to house migrant families. And so that would be my new business. I'd be looking for support from the dais. Any questions, discussion, happy to have that.
Okay. So did you hear that? Did you listen to that closely? I didn't want to ruin it for you. That was Naperville, Illinois Councilman Josh McBroom. And when I was in 8th grade, my best friend moved to Naperville, Illinois, and I got to go visit her. That was part of my 8th grade graduation present. So I've been to Naperville, Illinois. It was very nice. And it's outside of Chicago. Clearly, it's a little bit more liberal leaning. And that was him today suggesting that the city get residents to house illegals in their homes. Now, this comes on the heels of Massachusetts doing the same thing. Massachusetts did it in August. They asked people, and I guess not a lot of people signed up to do it, which is hilarious because they're super liberal. And all those people who have those, he has no home here signs, all those, there's no human being is illegal. They quietly took all those signs up out of their lawn and put them in the house and in a dark closet somewhere and locked the doors and shut the blinds because they ain't taking anybody in. So I love this. I think this is hilarious. And I want more and more liberal places to do this just to show their hypocrisy. They want someone else to do it. They want the government to take care of the problem for them. They're not going to take care of the problem. They want the government to do it for them. I love this. I think it's hilarious. So Massachusetts is the only state that has a statewide right to housing rule for homeless families. So the Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, Democrat, has now repeatedly asked residents who are in the country legally to open up their homes to illegal immigrants because they're having a hard time finding beds for them. They declared a state of emergency in August, and this is when she first asked for this. And she said there are currently nearly 5,600 families, more than 20,000 individuals in state shelter, including children and pregnant women. And they said, more importantly, if you have an extra room or suite in your home, please consider hosting a family. Housing and shelter is our most pressing need, and become a sponsor family. So now they're reaching out to NGOs, non-governmental organizations, to step up pressure on homeowners to take in migrants. So now they're going to pressure people to do this. They're in your homes, honey. I got news. They're going to be in your homes in a heartbeat. This is going to be like when the British forced the colonists to house British soldiers. This is where we're going. Oh, you have an extra bedroom you're not using? Yeah, you get two illegals and you will house them and feed them and clothe them and everything else. That's the way it's going to be. There's a group called Immigrant Support Alliance, and they're holding seminars to help inform residents about bringing illegal immigrants into their homes to act as a host home. hmm It's weird how when you tell everybody to come here because we love you, and no human being is illegal, and we're welcoming, and we have shelter for all, and then people actually take them up on their offer and they're like, wait, well, we didn't really mean it. Like, it was just kind of like a courtesy invite. It sounded good. Didn't want you to feel left out. So it's like inviting someone to a party and then telling them they can't eat or drink. Like, well, we didn't really think you were going to show up and we don't have enough food. So sorry, you can come in, but you can't eat or drink because I didn't count you. I didn't count you in the head count to the caterer. Right? So now they're doing this in Naperville. So this is spreading and I love it. I love this. I'm just going to make a big old bowl of popcorn with some butter and salt on it and pop open a beer, maybe a little bourbon, and just sit back and watch. And watch the hypocrisy. They will fall over themselves as a bunch of stinking hypocrites. Regarding the border, Scott says he heard that the Border Patrol can cut the wire where and when. They just are supposed to formally ask and get permission first. I don't know that. Barry says, it makes me sick that we pay these scumbags to break our laws. What's your take on Texas and the Supreme Court decision to remove barbed wire, and if Biden sends military to enforce the decision? Great question. I want to throw this out to you since we're talking about border and illegals and adopt an illegal. Come on. They're just here for a better life. Will they be vetted? Well, why would you ask if they're vetted? They're not vetted when they come into the country. You don't seem to mind that at all. So why do you care? They're just here for a better life. They're good people. Trust us. Go ahead, open your door. That's when you really find out who has the courage of their convictions, right? So, okay, so when it comes to the border, and Joe Biden now, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott said he will not allow them into that park. He's not cutting. He will not going to allow them to cut the razor wire. And I would love to see at night the Texas National Guard put down razor wire, and then every day the Border Patrol's got to cut it and take it away, and then every night they put it back down, and then every day they got to cut it. I don't think that the Biden administration or Democrats in general want the visual of a Democrat president sicking the military on a state and maybe arresting the governor or forcing this to be done to allow more illegals in while they're telling us that the border's secure and they're following all the rules. I just don't think that the visual is super good for them. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. And it's going to be very interesting. Kudos to Governor Abbott for saying, no, I'm protecting the people of my state. That's what he's supposed to do. Joe Biden's supposed to legally protect. He swears to protect us, uphold the Constitution, follow the laws. He's supposed to protect the United States. And he's not doing that. Greg Abbott is. Good for him. But it could turn ugly. But the other part of me wonders, do they want something ugly? Do they want something ugly so they can paint the right as violent extremists yet again? They set it up to push them to the point where something happens, and then they paint them as violent extremists. So it's going to be super interesting to watch it play out, right? It's going to be very interesting. Let's see, Gramble. I have often asked liberals if they want to take in illegal aliens. I either hear crickets or get blocked. Yes. And then when I get blocked, I take a screenshot of the person blocking me and I just put what happened up. Asked him if he wants to take in an illegal, and then I just repost it. Yeah, they're a bunch of hypocrites. Super hypocrites. Ron says, how about sponsor homeless citizens? Yeah, exactly. How about sponsoring homeless citizens? How about sponsor a homeless vet? I'm much more likely to take a homeless vet into my home than I am to take someone into my home. I don't speak their language. I don't know who the hell they are. No. Uh-uh. Thank you, no. Gregory says, long live the Republic of Texas. Gamble, Abbott is in Mumbai right now. Is he? Really? I didn't know that. Paul Renaud. Hi, Paul. I think you're new. I grew up 6 miles from Naperville. It was a 12,000 population city that grew to over 100,000 people fleeing Chicago. How is that going to work? Yeah, you know how that works. All the people fleeing from Chicago to the suburbs because they don't feel safe and the schools suck in Chicago, so they flee to the suburbs and they vote for the same stuff they just left. It's a disease. Liberalism is 100% a mental illness. They never connect their vote with this problem that just follows them everywhere they go. I don't know. We were in Chicago. It's a really nice neighborhood. And then, like a couple of years, the schools are terrible. You couldn't walk outside. There was gunshots. People were getting robbed. Finally, when our car was stolen, we finally decided we had to get out. So they moved to Naperville. And the it was so nice here. Yeah, and then all these illegals and the schools that were in the kids' schools and they weren't vaccinated and they took over the kids' playground to put a shelter in for the illegal immigrants. I don't know it's terrible. I think they never connect that sequence of events. They just don't. It couldn't possibly be the way they vote because they feel. To me, there are two types of people who function based from their heart and how they feel about something, and people who function from their head. They think it through, and sometimes they can be people who think it through, could sometimes use a little heart, and sometimes people who are emotion based could use a little stopping and using the brain, right? Somewhere you got to have a good balance between the two. But to me, the uber liberals are people who feel what is right? Well, I feel it's right. So you can't have a conversation with them. That's why Gramble PT gets blocked when he asks them if they want to take an illegal in, because now you're challenging their feelings and making them think, and it's just a disconnect. They can't do it. You can't challenge feelings with facts. It's a very hard thing to do. Portview Farm, yay! Said sounds like a potential problem, kind of a bad situation. The military versus a state. I live down the road from where John Brown was hung. We've been down this path before. Yes, we have. Because remember, Trump's the dictator. Trump's the one who's going to weaponize the military. That's what they keep telling us. So the visual of Joe Biden going in, I don't know if they want that. I don't think that that's exactly what they want, unless they do it purposely to get rid of Biden. All right, update. New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump at basically 50. Oh, he's at 53.5%. Nikki Haley at basically 46% of the vote. Ron DeSantis with 0.64. Total write-ins, they got write-ins. Chris Christie got 0.04%. 3 people voted for Chris. Why? Oh, 19 people voted for Chris Christie. 10 people voted for Glenn McPeters. 9 people voted for Ryan Binkley, who, by the way, is still in the race. Did you know that? Ryan Binkley hasn't officially dropped out. Mike Pence, 7 people voted for Mike Pence. 6 people voted for Doug Burgum. 4 for Mary Maxwell. 4 for Vivek. This is hilarious. And 3 for Rachel Swift. That's pretty funny. So Trump with 25,289 votes, Nikki Haley with 21,548 votes. It's close. I got to tell you, it's. I wonder if that's the Democrats, messing it in the election. Okay, let's see. The estimated Biden write-in ballot at this point is almost 59%. Dean Phillips at 20.8%. If Joe Biden gets less than 50%, that's really bad. 19 people voted for Vermin Supreme on the Democrat side. Vermin Supreme. 6 people voted for Paperboy Prince. 4 people for President Body. 1 for Starlock. This is hilarious. The Democrat side has some pretty funny stuff. Marianne Williamson got 906 votes. That's also scary and frightening at this all at the same time. Let's see if AP has anything different. Anything New Hampshire primary. Live updates. New Hampshire primary has Trump getting 50. Let's see. AP has Trump at 53.5%, Nikki Haley at 45.6%. These estimates, less than 25% of the votes have been counted. So these are all estimates. All right. So take it with a grain of salt. All right. So I love the please take in a illegal immigrant, and I just cannot wait to see how that plays out. Let's see. Gramble says, when does Stacey Abrams contest New Hampshire? Well, did you see Joe Biden today? Let me see if I can find it, and I'll bring it up. I have been sneezing all day. Oh, God. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. Speaking of Stacey Abrams, here we go. Let me share this with you. Tell me what you think of this. Okay. Listen to this. Joe Biden there. I'm going to see if I can just take myself out of here. Can I make it just one? Yeah, okay. There's Joe Biden. All right, listen to this is him in Virginia, supposedly. This is from the RNC. Listen to what he says.
Hello, Virginia. And the real governor, Terry McAuliffe. Hello, Virginia. And the real governor, Terry McAuliffe.
Hello, Virginia, and the real governor, Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe lost the election. Is Joe Biden denying that Terry McAuliffe lost the election? He's an election denier. Shouldn't he be charged? Isn't that illegal to deny the election? Isn't that a crime to deny the election? Joe Biden, an election denier? I thought Glenn Youngkin won that election. I didn't even know it was contested. I didn't even know there was a problem with the Virginia election. But I thought that was so interesting. I had to throw that in there. I forgot about that. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay. Let's go to, where's this other thing? Oh, yeah. So I have a great story I want to share with you. We're kind of running out of time. Let me see. Do we have any more on the Democratic primary? That's Democrats. Let's go to Republicans. Real quick, Republicans, Donald Trump at 53.6, Nikki Haley at 45.5. She's doing really well. Got to give her credit. I don't know if it's the Democrats crossing over, if it's the Never Trumpers. I don't know. I give her a lot of credit. She's not going to win, but I still give her a lot of credit. Okay, this story is wild, and that's why I had to share it. It has nothing to do with the elections, but I saw this. I was like, wait, what? Okay, so this comes out of Italy. And there is a woman who's transgendering, and she is now known as Marco. She is at an advanced stage of the sex change process and had her breasts removed. And she has, a beard and, the whole bit, just showing the signs of being a man facially, etc. And so she was going in for her hysterectomy to remove her uterus. And doctors found out that she's 5 months pregnant. Five months pregnant. So once the pregnancy is discovered, the first thing they do is suspend the hormone therapy, because if they don't do it immediately, that kid could be seriously screwed up. Think about it. This kid's getting these hormones that are male hormones, and if the process isn't allowed to happen naturally. So this poor kid could be totally screwed up. But my question is, how did the doctors not know she's pregnant? Maybe it's because she really wants to be a dude and they didn't think she was having sex as a woman because she wants to be a dude. I don't know why. There's a lot of questions there for me. I can't answer them. So they say there could be consequences, especially in the first trimester of pregnancy, which she's already through. This kid may be screwed up for life. because this is when the baby's organs develop. So this kid, I wonder if this kid could wind up being like a hermaphrodite, or if it's a biologically a girl with all these male hormones, what it does to her. God, this poor thing, this poor baby. It depends on the timing of the suspension of the dosages of testosterone that the person is taking. They're also worried about the impact on Marco, who's the mother, but also the father. Um, because, as I said, she had already begun to exhibit male physical characteristics, additional body hair growth, and the ability to grow a beard. Some experts believe high levels of male and female hormones in a person's body can pose a cardiac risk, but there is a lack of conclusive research on the subject. Marco is now expected to go through with the pregnancy and give birth to the baby because under Italian law, an abortion after 90 days is only allowed if the pregnancy seriously endangers the health of the mother or if there are significant problems with the fetus, with the baby. Marco, this kid's going to be so screwed up. I feel so sorry for this kid. Marco will be the baby's biological mother, but will be legally registered as the baby's biological father. So the sperm donor, the dude who really is the biological male, who is, I don't know, what we consider the father, is he just like an asterisk on the birth certificate because the mother's going to be listed as Marco the father and he's not going to be listed as having a mom? So the problem, what happened here is hormonal therapy will block the menstrual cycle, but it's not a contraceptive. The person can continue to ovulate, and as a result, they run the risk of getting pregnant. So that's why they're often given contraceptive pills if you're going to be having sex as a woman, using the thing, that she should have been taking contraceptives and clearly wasn't, and now is pregnant, and she is now what's known as a seahorse dad. Our world is so screwed up. Seahorse dads, a very small group of people who are transgender men who carry babies because they're biologically women. That's why. Seahorses, in the seahorse world, the male is the one who gets pregnant and gives birth to the young. So they're called seahorse dads. That kid is beyond screwed up, right? Right? Between the hormones and how irresponsible is this woman? Does she just think she was putting weight on because of the hormones, which I kind of get, but 5 months? Yeah. You're pretty far along at 5 months. She had to have known. I don't know. And if she didn't know, she had to have known she could have gotten pregnant. So she should have been a little bit more careful. So the kid gets screwed up from that. And now mom is listed as a man and listed as dad on the birth certificate. I had to share the story. It's so screwed up. Going back to Joe Biden, Porsche Farm, he shouldn't, insurrection in Virginia. Yes. Gramble says, did Marco spend time in prison? That's hilarious. Gregory, next on Maury, who's the donator? Yes. This is so sad though, right? I don't know. I really think it's sad. This poor kid, like these people do this stuff because I want to do this and I want to fulfill my destiny. It's my destiny because I feel like I'm biologically a man, blah, 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 blah. But they don't think about this other life. And the law in Italy is 90 days. She's 2 months past that. And so now she's going to have this baby. They will not abort the baby unless there's a problem with the baby, some kind of danger to the baby's life or to the mother. And this poor kid is going to be brought into the world maybe with health problems, maybe not problems that bother them now, but when they hit puberty, this kid could be, 6'7", be like a Barron Trump and is a girl, except she's really rough looking because of the hormones. It's really sad. Porcupine Farm, you are the father. Yes. Did anybody else love that show? I loved Maury. I used to love that show. Back in the day, though, I liked it when Maury was on. And if you lived in the New York area, it was on Channel 11 or Channel 9, one of the two. It was on one of the back channels, 9 or 11, public TV, but still, New York had extra channels. Everybody else had the basics. New York had like extra channels. So it was on one of those two, and it was followed by Jerry Springer. And this was back in the day when it was like it was real people, it was really messed up, legit people. And Jerry Springer was really legit messed up people who would come on, and the fights would be real. It wasn't like everyone came, on, and it was a setup fight, but it was a real show. And I used to love watching that show because the names of the people on there were hilarious. And it just made me feel so good about my day. I would work out to it. I'd get on the Nordic track, do my Nordic track. And I loved it because I just watched these people and I was like, you know what? Anything bad happens to me during the day, I'm going to watch this and realize that Quantavius, which was the name of somebody on the show one time, that's why I remember it, Quantavius is on television denying that he's the baby daddy, right? And first of all, my name isn't Quantavius. So right there, my world is way better than poor Quantavius is. And I'm not on Maury looking for my baby daddy, right? So no matter what God throws at me today, it's not going to be that bad. It could be so much worse. I could be on Maury looking for my baby daddy, and my name could be Quantavius. So it could be a lot worse. Porcupine Farm says the level of mental illness is 11. And that's the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is what is going on in the country. And this is why I ask. A poll came out and they found that 25% of Americans born between 1997 and 2012. So that's Gen Z. 25%, over 25%, identify as one of the alphabets, LGBTQ plus IA, blah, 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 whatever, whatever they come up with next, which is significantly higher than previous generations. Why do you think that is? I'm curious. Why do you think that is? They found that nearly 50% of Gen Z are more likely to identify as liberal. They're more likely to be less religious than any other generation before them. 28% of Gen Z consider themselves to be LGBTQ plus, blah, 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 blah. Only 16% of millennials, the generation just before them, 7% of Gen X, and only 4% of baby boomers. So what happened between their grandparents and them that now almost 30% of them consider themselves to be one of the alphabets? What happened? Is it the schools? Is it something else? I don't, or honestly, I have to tell you, and I don't say this to be mean, I say it with all due respect. I do think Porchview Farm is right that it's a mental illness. I think we have a generation that is lost, a generation that grew up being told that the world is going to end because we have to lower the temperature of the world by 1.5 degrees. And if we don't lower the temperature of the world by 1.5 degrees, isn't that what it is, 1.5 degrees? We're all going to die, and the polar bears are dying, and everything's dying, and you're going to die. So we're brought up in a world that's very, very morose, which is probably why they're liberals, because liberals have no sense of humor whatsoever. They never had any hardship in their lives for the most part. Their parents paved the way for everything, right? They never had anything, never had to work when they were younger. There was never any kind of punishment, discipline in school because that's wrong. They grew up, especially if they're white, that they're horrible, evil racists. They're just racist based on the color of their skin. If they're white males, they're oppressors, they're racists, they're useless. Society doesn't need them. Society would be better off without you. So they grew up, I think, in a very dark world. And I wonder if my theory is that because of this dark world in which they grew up, that if they can just change who they are, things will be better. Like if I don't have to be a boy, then my life will be better because I could be a girl, and girls are better than boys, right? Or I could be, trans this, or that there was one chick who was like, I'm a robot. She's not even human. Trans species. Well, I don't know what it is. But they go so far out there. And I think it's because they don't know who they are. They don't have any goals. They don't have any identity other than the negatives that have been hung on them by our school system and by society. And they've been conditioned to believe all this crap. It's everything about them is judged based on physical characteristics that they can't change unless they want to change their gender. That they can do. And so then I won't be judged. Life will be better. I can pick the better gender. And they don't have, like I said, they don't have direction. They don't have jobs. Most of them don't have careers. They get a job and they realize, oh my gosh, wait, I have to pay the rent and I have to pay for food and I have to pay for my student loan. I have to pay for things. I need another job. Why do people do this? This is horrible. They're totally unprepared for the real world. So I kind of feel badly for them because I do think that their parents let them down. Their parents' generation in general let them down. They wanted to love them. They wanted to love them into a good life, and they didn't have any hardships, and they paved the way for them. And by doing so, they made them really unprepared for the world. So that's why I think there were so many of them. You could disagree with me, but I'm curious as to what you think. Gregory says they've been successfully indoctrinated by their teachers. Yeah. Oh, I think that's part of it. I think the indoctrination. Yeah, absolutely. Be you. You could be anything you want to be. And they don't want to be part of this. They don't want to be part of the social construct. They don't want to be part of the world. Asking them to get up and be to work at 9 a.m. They can. Some of them can't do it. I work with somebody. A friend of mine works at a law firm in the HR department, and she had a summer intern who is in this age cohort and just couldn't get to work before 10. And she's like, I understand you have a problem getting to bed, to getting up out of bed to be here on time. So you need to go to bed sooner. And thank goodness she was only for the summer, but she got a really bad report. She just couldn't swing it to get in on time. Just couldn't do it all summer. Just couldn't do it. And they really needed, and she was insulted. This young girl, this young lady was insulted that they couldn't accommodate her. And they just couldn't understand. And they were mean. My friend is one of these people who takes no crap from anybody because she works in a huge HR department for a huge international law firm, and you would know the name if I told you. And big Democrat law firm. And she was just, she doesn't take, like I said, take crap from anybody. So this young lady was just like, but she couldn't fire her. She couldn't fire her because she had connections to get the job there to begin with. But it's weird. I just think I feel sorry for them on a certain level. Porchview Farm says, soy in everything, processed food, social contagion. Yeah, maybe it's processed food. I heard it was losing Democratic leaders that were not complete leftists, like it was Mondale of Texas, father-son team. Those guys are gone, so no one else but the extreme in the Democrat Party to go to. Gramble, technology has overloaded Gen Z. The left and the media is exploiting this. That's true. But see, then I blame their parents. You get their noses out of that little screen. I cannot tell you the number of people that I have seen and I have known, and they're there with their kid, and the kid's crying or acting up, and they give them a little baby laptop or mommy's phone or whatever it happens to be to shut the kid up, and the kid's like mesmerized by the screen, and then they want it. They cry for it. I want the phone. I want the phone. I want that. That's what they want. They want the screen. And so they hand it to them because it shuts them up. I'm like, why don't you give them a book? Oh, they like the screen. I'm like, yeah, have you tried a book? You can, so I blame the parents. I really do on that. And I think it's true. All right. But I think that that's really the other part of this that I think is also very sad is that 43% claim to be liberal. 31% of them say they identify as Democrats, 30% as independents, 21% claim to be Republicans. 58% say they can't solve the country's problems until the older generation gets out of here. They hold no power till they hold no power. They're less likely to belong to a specific faith. 33% claim they are not religious. According to data from last year, from 2023, Gen Z was the least likely to attend church services among all the generations. Only 38% say they attend church service. Those who identified as religious did not often attend church either, compared to older generations. I think that's sad. Not that I'm like this big, like I think you do you, whatever religion, whatever it is you want to do. I think the belief in a higher power is super important. Every every group of humans from the beginning of time has worshiped a sun god or a moon god or whatever it happened to be. They had their gods, right? And these gods were greater than them, and these gods demanded certain behaviors of them, and that kept societal norms, right? And that also kept certain behaviors in society. But there was this belief that there's something greater than I. When you take that, get rid of that, you wind up with, oh, well, the government will give us everything. The government will solve all my problems, because we still have this need for a bigger belief in something. And that's part of the problem with them too. I think it all plays together. Hi.
It's a lack of dodgeball.
My husband just walked in and he just stood here and said, it's a lack of dodgeball. Everyone needs to get hit in the head with that hard red ball. Remember that thing? I swear I have a concussion from that thing. I hated dodgeball. Paul says, I'm surprised by how many young parents don't have bedtimes for their children. They let them stay up till they drop. Yes, 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 yes. I got yelled at once by someone who shall remain nameless, because they had their kids were up whenever and they just let them go to bed. And I said to this person, because we were pretty good relationship, and I said, you know, you might want to give them a bedtime, so they can get up in the morning in time to go to daycare or school, kindergarten, that kind of thing. And I was told, well, you don't have children, you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I was a kid. And then later on, the kids wound up having a bedtime. But I agree. The kids are just allowed to do what they want to do. Just let them be. No, kids need discipline. I think kids crave that. They want that guidance, and they need discipline, and they will. And I'm not talking about beating your kids when I say discipline, but consequences for actions are important ways to teach kids about society, right? About operating in the world. You make a decision, there's certain consequences for those actions. My father used to tell us when we were kids that if we were in high school and shenanigans were afoot, he would say to us, well, if you just remember, if you go out and you make a decision to participate in an adult action. I love when people text me during my podcast. You make a decision to do something that is an adult thing to do. You are responsible then for the adult repercussions. So in other words, if you're going to go out and drink underage and you get caught, well, then you are responsible for the repercussions. And he always used to tell us, if it was an adult action that we were on the hook for, don't call him, because adults don't call their parents to bail them out. And we're like, we knew it. We got the message loud and clear. Mom and dad didn't come to get us. Yeah, that hard red rubber ball. You're right, Scott. Gregory says, I was at Five Guys having lunch by myself. 3 very young couples walked in during the time I was grazing. The minute they sat down, their faces were glued to the phone. Bizarre. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I have to give my brother and sister-in-law raised 3 girls. They're this generation, the Gen Z. And they rode them hard. I was really impressed by them, though. And I think they're a picture of what happens when you do. Their kids, they had one TV in the house. It was downstairs in the living room. That was it. There were no TVs in the kids' rooms. They had like 2 big main computers downstairs in a room. No, they were not in their rooms. The computers were not in their rooms. They would take their cell phones at night, and they had to have the passwords to be able to get in and see what they were doing. And they held them accountable. When they got in trouble, there were repercussions. There were consequences. No phones, no TV, no nothing at the dinner table. And they had a box of cards that were like conversation starters. So when they got older, they would do trivia and things like that. But there were no phones, no TV, no distractions. It was family time. You talked about your day. What are you learning at school? All those types of things. And when they were 16, each one of them got a job. And they got a job because they would take, my brother and sister-in-law would take one thing away from each one of the girls. And they said, we're just not going to pay for this anymore. So if you want makeup, or whatever it happened to be, fill in the blank, you have to earn the money for it. And that was that. And each girl knew it. That was the deal. They all knew it. One of them studied abroad her sophomore year, and my brother told me, "I hope you make a lot of money the year between freshman and sophomore year in college, because that's your spending money when you go abroad. I'll pay for the other stuff, but you're going to pay for that." So I think the kids want the discipline in that way. Now Tax USA says Fox called it for Trump. Yeah, I'm looking at their page right now, at 54.29% for Trump, with 44.7% for Nikki Haley. Thank you, Now Tax. I appreciate it. Democrats, let's see. They're calling it for Biden, write-in, 58.8% for him, for Biden, and for Dean Phillips, 21.1%. And Vermin Supreme is up to 45 votes. Paperboy Prince has 13. President Body has 10. And Starlock has 2. There were no good write-ins on the Republican side. I'm somewhat disappointed. Vivek got 21. They don't have any good write-ins on the Republican side. Thank you, Now Tax. Let's see. Gregory says nobody believes Fox anymore. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I think a good, healthy dose of skepticism. Well, let's see. AP is calling it for Donald Trump with 50. Let's see. Trump takes New Hampshire in a decisive win. Now they're calling it with only 19% of votes counted. So remember that. That's interesting. They declared Trump the winner based on an analysis of initial vote returns as well as results of AP VoteCast, which is a survey of Republican primary voters. Both indicated Trump was running ahead of Haley by an insurmountable margin. Okay. And they're not even talking about the Democrat primary. Interesting. So there you go. All right. So thank you so much. I'm going to get out of here. I'm calling it. Thank you so much, guys. I know it was kind of a little disjointed because we were checking the New Hampshire numbers. So next week we have a guest on next Tuesday. This Friday, I'm in for David Webb on the Fox on Patriot Sirius Patriot XM. Sirius XM Patriot channel. That's it. 9 to noon Eastern time. I'll be there. And then next week on Monday, I'll be back on the Chris Salcedo show on Newsmax TV. Be somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m. because that's when Chris Salcedo is on. So I'll be there. So please like the podcast. Please subscribe. Appreciate it. We have a guest next week. And I apologize for kind of being a little bit all over this week just because of the primaries. AP is now calling the New Hampshire's Democratic primary write-in for Joe Biden. So they're calling it for him. So that's that. And I don't know, maybe James will be back next week. I have no idea. I don't know where he is. So thank you, everyone. Appreciate you muchly. And let me just pull this up and we will get out of here ASAP. Have a wonderful day and have a great week too and a good weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday. Bye.